OMFG Clone Club. This is Mel, and I think my mind just got blown after the latest episode of Orphan Black. And to be clear, that is episode 309, titled Insolvent, Phantom of Tomorrow, which aired June 13th, 2015. So I'm just going to jump into things more so than usual because I really want to talk about the latest discovery. So not really going to cut things down based on the leader clones, but based off the three storylines for this episode, which are number one, Sarah and her group in London as they search for the caster original. 2, Cosima having to deal with her suspicions on Shay being the possible caster mole, and then 3, the drug business problem with the Hendrixes, and that mainly features Helena more so than Allison, since Allison is said to be making runs. So I really want to talk about London first. So much happened and I truly can't wrap my head around it just yet. One thing I really liked was the trips down memory lane that Sarah, Felix, and Mrs. S had back at the pub, where they were having a good time catching up with Terry, an old friend of Mrs. S's, and then we get to see Mrs. S perform with her old band, which I thought was amazing. I truly didn't think we'd see that make it to the show, let alone as part of Mrs. S's character, but it was a great addition, and it was a great reprieve from all the life-threatening drama, which came in the form of Ferdinand, who seems to kill off a few of Mrs. S's old contacts, like Terry, sadly, and a man named Kasov, who originally found Sarah before bringing her to Mrs. S 20-odd years ago. So I really like the whole memory lane thing, as I said, and I even predicted last week, if you guys remembered, that we'd learn about their past in some way, shape, or form. Not exactly what I had in mind, but it was still a trip down memory lane, which I truly appreciated. And it seems that Sarah and Felix were also learning a few things about Mrs. S too. It wasn't just us as the viewers that were learning things, so that was quite nice. Now, the major plot bomb that was dropped in this episode was not only the name of the caster original, which was Kendall Malone, who was an ex-con that was paroled in 2007, but we learned that Kendall is actually Mrs. S's mother, who went to prison for killing Mr. S. That was like 2 mind-blown moments in one, because I was expecting to see an older version of the caster clone as the original. Therefore, an aged version of Ari Millen, who plays the caster clones. And even the records on Kendall Malone showed them being an elder. So we're assuming we're going to see an old man. So when we first see this woman, when Sarah breaks into Kendall's place, I thought maybe she was Kendall's wife, or that she was the Lita original, since up to this point we are to believe that the caster original and the Lita original are siblings, because the caster clones and the Lita clones are related. Never did I think that the woman was Kendall herself. But apparently Professor Duncan used Kendall Malone because she has 2 cell lines due to the fact that she absorbed her twin brother while in the womb. Is that even scientifically possible? Seems I have to look it up now. So anyways, Mrs. S doesn't hesitate and continue with the original plan, which was to kill the caster original. But then Sarah comes to Kendall's defense by reminding Mrs. S that Caster and Lita are siblings. And if Kendall is the caster original, then she's also the Lita original too, due to the 2 cell lines she has, which means that they need Kendall to save Cosima and the others. I mean, I'm still blown away that the original of both clone lines is essentially only one person. I truly was expecting an older version of the clones to be the originals. Therefore, we would see an Ari Millen in an aged version of the clone, and then Tatiana Maslany in the aged version of her clone, and then passing that off as those being the originals of the clones. But we don't get that. And, well, I did predict that Sarah would face off against the Lita clone before the season ended, and yet I did not picture it quite like this. Kendall Malone was one twist I never saw coming. Well done, writers. Now, either way, it looks like Sarah was meant to be a part of Mrs. S's family, because in a way, Sarah could be seen as a daughter to Kendall, since Kendall is the Lita original who Sarah could be seen as a descendant from. Did that make sense? I mean, in my head, it makes sense to me, but did it for you guys? Does it even work thinking it like that? And on a side note, when Felix was waiting outside alone as Sarah went inside to see Kendall, I was really scared that something would happen to Felix. He would be killed or taken, and then Sarah would return to find Felix dead or gone. I mean, I was really afraid that could happen with the way Felix was being focused on in those solo night scenes, and with Ferdinand running around. I was very worried for Felix. Now on to the mysterious Shay plotline. So basically, Cosima starts having doubts about Shay after reading Dyad's file, and she turns to Scott to hash things out. Turns out that things line up for Shay to be the caster clone, so Cosima goes to Delphine about it. And I have to say, when Cosima sees Delphine in her office, I got a very mafia vibe from them, as if Delphine was the godfather or something, which I thought was very appropriate for the situation. Since she was asking, like, and why should I help you, or what does this do for me, and like stuff like that. So Delphine interrogates Shay, and I believe she even hinted to killing Shay and covering up as a suicide if Shay didn't cooperate. Shay denies all accusations as a spy, and it turns out they were right. I mean, at first I thought she was just a pretty good actor, and with her being in the military, they are trained in interrogation tactics and how to sway them, I'm assuming. And yet, all those tears and fears were real. It seems like Gracie was the real caster mole, because she was promised to be reunited with Mark, and I have to say, it makes perfect sense that it would be her, and I did not see that coming. I guess I was so set on Shay being the mole that I overlooked Gracie as the mole. At least we get confirmation that Mark survived Paul's explosion. Fortunately, Cosima calls Delphine in time with the news of Shay being innocent of the mole accusation. Yet afterwards, I wondered if Delphine would still kill Shay and chalk it up to bad timing, just so that Shay was out of Cosima's life, basically not a threat to Delphine winning Cosima over. I mean, I really got the impression that Delphine was willing to go all the way for what she believed to be the right move. I mean, all this Dyad power could be seen as going to her head. She really is like a new Rachel, which is very scary, because we do not know what she views as the right thing in regards to Project Lita. So finally, let's talk about the happenings in the Hendricks household. Now, Helena's still a guest, and Gracie visits to help out before she did that whole reveal at the end that she was the mole, as I mentioned before. Anyways, Helena bonds with Gemma as she practices for her karate tournament, and her absent brother is mentioned, even though he's not seen. Once again, I mentioned that in the previous video for 308. Anyways, despite the lengths of knowledge Helena went to teach Gemma, you know, the whole jabbing the eyes when your opponent's choking, that bit, I thought it was very adorable how Gemma was showing Helena what she had learned and what she needed to practice on for her tournament. I think it was a great bonding moment between the two. And Allison is shown here and there throughout the episode, but her reason for why she's so busy is because she's making deliveries to all our customers. I'm assuming they're both legit Bubbles and drug customers that she's been talking to. But even though Allison is busy, a bruised Donnie is caught returning home by Helena, and as she patches him up with her own old remedy and old stories of her own childhood bruises. Donnie confesses to a surprise visitor, which was the first messenger of Pouchy's that we met a little while back. And Pouchy wants all of his merchandise back since Jason no longer vouches for Donnie. And the messenger took Helena's canister of frozen embryos, her babies as she calls them, as a sort of an insurance policy. Now when Helena hears this, her first course of action is to find their location and get her babies back, as if it's instinctual for her to retrieve what is hers. Eventually Donnie attempts to get the embryos back for Helena, and I think he's the first one she's told about her frozen embryos. Yet that attempt returns into Helena posing as Allison before she slaughters Pouchy and his group after they threaten Gemma and Oscar. So pretty much Donnie helped Helena get her frozen babies back, while Helena eliminates the threat posed on Donnie's kids, and all in the name of family. And I have to say, the dynamic between Donnie and Helena has truly surprised me. It's like they formed some sort of kinship between them. They definitely acknowledge each other as family now, which I hadn't expected at all, since it was only a few episodes ago when Donnie refused to have anything to do with Helena. And then Allison comes in at the end and learns about the money that Helena got for Donnie, who got for Allison. And I wonder how much Donnie will tell Allison about his last encounter with Pouchy and his group, maybe even with his encounter with Jason. And then with Pouchy, I'm assuming he's dead due to all the blood that Helena walked out with. But assuming Pouchy's dead, does that mean the Hendrixes are staying out of the drug business, or are they taking over Pouchy's position in the whole drug ring? I guess we'll have to see. But it'll be very tricky, very risky if they do decide to take control. Now, Rachel wasn't shown, so her whereabouts are still a mystery. Now, as for the Castor clones, or Project Castor, Mark is alive and has been reunited with Gracie, as I mentioned before. Dr. Kawadi tests Rudy with those puzzle phrases, and it looks like Rudy is faltering, so he doesn't have much time left before he ends up like Seth. Dr. Kawadi has several code breakers trying to encrypt Professor Duncan's book, so they are racing to find the Castor original before Rudy's health depletes even further. So let's move on to predictions, and I hate to say it, but the next episode is the season 3 finale. I can't believe it's already here. Now, Cosima confronts Shay about her mysterious past, and hopefully we'll get more answers than questions. And you know what would be crazy? It'd be crazy if Shay is somehow connected to Paul. That'd be really wacky. But who knows? Anyways, I think we will learn more about Kendall and what she knows about Professor Duncan's endgame in regards to his clones, or at least I hope she knows something about it. Otherwise, we're going to have to rely on the book, which Sarah and her group don't have, even though they do have Kendall. And I definitely sense some old family tension between Kendall and Mrs. S. So I can easily see how Mrs. S will try to weed information out of Kendall, but Kendall will try to be difficult towards Mrs. S, and then Sarah would have to play referee or Felix. It's going to be very interesting. Dysfunctional dynamic, I guess. I'm assuming it's going to be dysfunctional. And Rudy and Dr. Kawadi seem to make a move against Allison as all the other Lita clones have gone underground. Don't really get why Allison wouldn't follow her sister's advice or actions to lay low, but apparently she may be having a target on her back. Now, based off the season finale promo, Project Lita and Project Castor are both aware that Sarah has found the original. Apparently, Sarah has done the impossible, and she's found the original genome, and that is in the form of Kendall. And the preview at the end of this episode showed that Rachel's somewhere she doesn't want to be, and Delphine visits Crystal, who she thinks is a comatose Rachel. Now, I sense that it's going to be a race against the clock for everyone in the finale. And I'm wondering if we'll see Kira, Cal, Art, or Tony again. Or what about Marion Bowles and her little clone daughter Charlotte, who we haven't seen since the season 2 finale. And their absence I find quite odd. But I guess we'll just have to wait to see if any or all of that happens in the finale. But either way, I know it's going to be a fantastic episode. And thankfully, we do have a season 4. So it's very possible the finale is going to end on another cliffhanger. So before you go, don't forget to leave any comments or questions down below. I'd love to hear them and talk clones with all of you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos, and share this one with all your friends in Clone Club. Let's bring more into the fold. Thank you for listening. I truly appreciate you taking out the time to just hear my thoughts on the episode. But until next time, have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.